December 17th, 2016, Saturday of the third week in Advent. A reading from the book of Genesis. Then Jacob called his sons, and he said to them, "Gather together and listen, O sons of Jacob. Listen to Israel, your father. Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be at the necks of your enemies. The sons of your father will reverence you. Judah is as a lion's young. You have gone up to the prey, my son. While resting, you have lain like a lion. And just like a lioness, who would rouse him? The scepter from Judah and the leader from his thigh will not be taken away, until he who will be sent arrives. And he will be the expectation of Gentiles." The word of the Lord. The responsorial psalm. Justice will rise like the sun, with abundance of peace, until the moon is taken away. Give your judgment, O God, to the king, and your justice to the king's son, to judge your people with justice, and your poor with judgment. Justice will rise like the sun, with abundance of peace, until the moon is taken away. Let the mountains take up peace for the people, and the hills justice. He will judge the poor of the people, and he will bring salvation to the sons of the poor. Justice will rise like the sun, with abundance of peace, until the moon is taken away. In his days justice will rise like the sun, with abundance of peace, until the moon is taken away, and he will rule from sea to sea, and from the river to the limits of the whole world. Justice will rise like the sun, with abundance of peace, until the moon is taken away. May his name be blessed forever. May his name remain before the sun. And all the tribes of the earth will be blessed in him. All nations will magnify him. Justice will rise like the sun, with abundance of peace, until the moon is taken away. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. The book of the lineage of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham conceived Isaac, and Isaac conceived Jacob, and Jacob conceived Judah and his brothers, and Judah conceived Perez and Zerah by Tamar, and Perez conceived Hezron, and Hezron conceived Ram, and Ram conceived Amminadab, and Amminadab conceived Nahshon, and Nahshon conceived Salmon, and Salmon conceived Boaz by Rahab, and Boaz conceived Obed by Ruth, and Obed conceived Jesse, and Jesse conceived King David. And King David conceived Solomon by her who had been the wife of Uriah. And Solomon conceived Rehoboam, and Rehoboam conceived Abijah, and Abijah conceived Asa, and Asa conceived Jehoshaphat, and Jehoshaphat conceived Joram, and Joram conceived Uzziah, and Uzziah conceived Jotham, and Jotham conceived Ahaz, and Ahaz conceived Hezekiah, and Hezekiah conceived Manasseh, and Manasseh conceived Amos, and Amos conceived Josiah, and Josiah conceived Jeconiah and his brothers in the transmigration of Babylon. And after the transmigration of Babylon, Jeconiah conceived Shealtiel, and Shealtiel conceived Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel conceived Abiud, and Abiud conceived Eliakim, and Eliakim conceived Azor, and Azor conceived Zadok, and Zadok conceived Achim, And Achan conceived Eliud, and Eliud conceived Eleazar, and Eleazar conceived Mathan, and Mathan conceived Jacob, and Jacob conceived Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. And so, all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations, and from David to the transmigration of Babylon, 14 generations, and from the transmigration of Babylon to the Christ, 14 generations. The Gospel of the Lord.